Man, how the heck do you hold these little guns? We get asked enough questions about these little blasters. How do I hold them? How am I supposed to adjust my grip? I'm locking the slide back when I don't want to. I'm dumping magazines when I don't want to. I can't get the mag out when I want to. People ask me because I've literally fired 50,000 rounds through these little P365s and the XL version. I've got 4 of them. Here's the one that broke on us on a filming session. I ran it in a course. I went to a course where most people were running full-size guns. It was Gabe White's class, which I've taken multiple times, and the firing pin broke on this. So in the interim, we got another one and had Boresight Solutions stipple them. What is the whole deal with the grip? Can I just show you guys do what I do? The answer is no. So let's go back. What's the goal? When we are designing or developing a grip for us, that's your master grip. A master grip is, by the way, all of these guns have been cleared. So if you're a nervous Nelly and are like, he didn't clear it. I'm in my space. It's my stuff. I've done it. I don't need to do it to make you feel good because I know what I did. So that said, master grip, when you decide to pick a pistol out of your holster or out of a case or wherever it is, that's the way you connect to the gun. The interface between flesh and bone and sinew and the plastic and polymer and steel. The thought process is when you develop it properly, as that gun comes out of a holster, you shouldn't have to make movements or adjustments. Now, what do you want out of a grip? Repeatability, but you can repeat the wrong thing. You want control, right? So you want to be, as we say, high and tight, lefty, high and tight. You don't want any space, really. We want to absorb as much space. So like if you do jujitsu or you wrestle, you want to absorb space like Professor Dan Hart says, and get rid of any extra space because then the gun can't move, right? So the way that I connect to this gun is going to maybe be different than you, because if our hands are not exactly the same size, pardon me, the same texture, if you don't have the same size gun, you're not going to get the same contact points. So as we're developing a grip, we're looking for what we call touch points. And I must go back a minute. This whole thumbs forward grip, by the way, which we've talked about in many videos, is not some new invention of any super soldier. No Navy SEAL, no Green Beret came up with it. This stuff is old school IPSC shooters, guys like Robbie Latham and others, really refined this thumbs forward grip. It's not new. It's been around a long time, and dudes that shot a bunch in matches trying to press the human performance envelope with handguns designed it. We can talk about that with rifles another time. Look at Benny Cooley. Anyway, as we're thinking about developing this grip, the concepts are high and tight. So high up into the back strap, tight everywhere we can be. Now, the thing is, whatever space I have left, I want to be able to take up as much of it as I can without interfering with the controls of the gun. So if every time I shoot, if I apply upward pressure to the slide stop and that sucker's locking back, well, my grip sucks because I'm not allowing the gun to operate as designed. So what we're looking for is visually looking at where our hands are on the gun and understanding that there may be a trade-off of what you could get away with your Glock 17 or your 320 or something like that if you're going to shoot one of these. On that note, John Bianchi, the famous holster maker, warrior, law enforcement officer, founder of Bianchi Cup, all of these good things, said, and I quote, "One gun, one holster, all the time." Thought process is, if I get really good with this gun, say with this Vetter Light Tuck holster, this package, that's it, man. That's it. That's my jam. I have ingrained that to a subconscious level. Whereas if I have a plethora of guns, which I do, and I bounce around, I'm never going to really get a good refined contact point or touch point. So those touch points, just like in golf or baseball or a lot of things where you need to refine the skill or the memory rather of where you're touching the gun to a subconscious level, it's not going to give you the same result. So a touch point, a good way to think of a touch point is the way you grab a fork or a writing utensil. All of you from the time you were little learned how to use a fork, right? I'm looking to see if I have something handy. Stepping out of frame, I got a pen right here, which will be fine. We'll just imagine that this is a fork or a spoon, right? And this is maybe how I'd hold a fork. I could be cutting and I would feed myself, or I would be slurping some soup. Now, if you came up to me, or vice versa, if I did this to you and you just took the fork out of my hand and I made you hold it like this, you would immediately reacquire your master fork grip. Now, if you were going to be writing and you have your master interface with a pen or pencil from the time you were little, and I came up and I did the same thing, maybe I put it here, nope, you'd go right back immediately to where it's supposed to be. Now, in this day and age, some of us are spending too much time behind keyboards, so we don't write as much, but you get the point. At a subconscious level, your brain knows that's how the pen goes, that's how the fork goes, and any deviation or change feels weird. On a side note, you ever seen like a monster, just somebody that like eats like this? You're like, man, that person's crazy. You would never do that with a fork, right? You have no control. I'm not comparing these two in any way, shape, or form other than your ability to ingrain those interface points where that utensil or that writing implement interfaces with your body. So too are you trying to do that with the pistol. Here's a caveat to that. If your shooting sucks, you may have ingrained a really deeply imprinted set of touch points. So for me, as I go to get my pistol onto the gun, I'm up. I have complete contact here, I have contact in the rear, and as I come with my non-dominant hand and I touch under the trigger guard and roll forward, everything feels as it should be. If, for example, the gun was a little low, while that might not look like much, I feel it's completely off. I would let the gun sink into my grasp. Sometimes on the firing line, I will have somebody with their finger straight. I'll tap and I'll push that gun deeper, deeper, deeper into their grip, because that's how you're getting good control. So back to the idea of the grip and what it's all about. It's not just to help us shoot good, right? It's not just for what happens at the target. In order for a pistol, a semi-automatic pistol of any type, to work well, you need to absorb as much energy as possible so that when the round goes off and the slide reciprocates as the gun is designed, that as much energy as possible from that little cartridge, be it a 45, a 40, a 10 mil, a 9, whatever, they're all little cartridges. You want as much energy as possible to go into sending a bullet down range and reciprocating the slide, stripping a new round and getting the gun back in battery to shoot again. If there's a lot of energy spent in this motion, well, where's that motion not going? Where's that energy not being sent? It's not being sent here, right? So stoppages, double feeds, failure to feed, failure to extract, oftentimes are not because there's a bad gun or a dirty gun or bad ammo. It's because of a bad shooter with a weak grip, a malformed grip, a grip that doesn't hold the gun. So we want to be like a vice. Our wrists, if you were to take your gun, unload it, and put it onto like a tabletop and push down, I'm applying pressure. My finger and nothing is touching this gun but the muzzle. And I am applying force. If I took like a pop can and put it here and put it on there, I could crush that pop can. Conversely, I don't want to see this. I don't want that gun to rock out of my hand. So with two hands, nothing's happening. I'm up on my toes right now. None of my body is touching the table. I am completely up on my toes and holding my body weight. My wrists are locked out. I'm strong behind the gun. So a lot of that grip is not just where the skin of your fingers touches the frame, but it's also how your wrists are locked out. See, I could have a great interface, but if this is happening, look at where all that energy is going. Johnny Flippy muzzle. It's not a good thing. It's not a good look. Is that the kind of man you want to be? Mr. Flippy Dick? I don't think so. You want to be strong through your wrists. So as you're building your grip, think about what are the components. Repeatability. I want to be able to allow the gun to operate as designed, so I need to be high and tight. I need to not be contacting controls. So if when I'm forming my grip, I see a lot of shooters that feel like they have to get their hand so stinking high on the gun, you don't. You don't. You just need to get it in the right spot. So my friend Paul Sharp likes to talk about buttressing the bottom of the magwell. Dr. Middlebrooks is where I believe Paul got this. Look Dr. up, fantastic shooter, pioneer of the shooting sports. Awesome, awesome dude. But we think about, where does this gun have to, or where will it move in recoil? So if I was holding this here, it would be flipping like this, right? So if I was able to apply some force to both here and here, that's going to stop. So I'm going to apply pinky power, as Paul Sharp and Dr. like to say. That pinky's going to be applying pressure. How much? Depends. I mean, I've got good, strong man hands. It's not anything I'm ashamed of. So for me, I don't need to crush maybe as much as somebody else. It might be 50% for me of what I'm capable of. It could be 90% for somebody else if they don't have good, strong hands, because they didn't do physical work, if you do something where you don't have a good grip. So as you interface, high, tight, just to build it, throw that thumb up out of the way. So you've come out of your holster, wherever it's at, pick the gun up off of a table, thumb up like the Fonz. Take this hand, karate chop, and we're going to experiment with how deep you need to go. So, if I come this deep, look at all that contact that I'm losing. So sink your palm into whatever's left on your gun. Once I'm done with this explanation, I'm going to show you the same grip on multiple guns, because there might be a slight bit of adjustment for me to get the optimal connection. So take the bit of meat that's left on your hand, slightly cam this hand forward. What you'll feel is you're able to put more of this meat onto the exposed grip panel. Hand straight, hand cam forward. Hand straight, hand cam forward. Hand straight, hand cam forward. Hand straight or wrist straight, cam forward. So it's allowing me to put more of this meat up onto the grip panel. Do you see that? Does that make sense? Let's see, how can I show you that better? Maybe right there. Up versus straight. Once you figure that out, you can start working that in dry fire. Bring the gun up, touch, rotate, and your thumbs are doing nothing. Just let them float. They're doing nothing. They're not pushing. You're not yanking or cranking or touching. Just let them float like a pretty butterfly. Let's see what that looks like with another gun. It's a little car, great little gun, CW9. A little thicker frame, thicker right out of the gate. I feel that. Thumb up, contact, roll in, right? Contact, roll in. You notice how my wrist is rolling forward. A straight line across my ulna where I could almost drive my thumb to the target. Oh, isn't that convenient? Driving my thumb to the target. Let's look at that with a Glock 43. High, tight. The beaver tail is in the middle of the web of my hand. I am strong through all of these fingers. I'm also working good dominance of the muzzle and good trigger finger index way up out of the trigger guard, not here, but here, not here, but here. And as I make contact, I can roll forward. Same thing, same thing. Now, a little bit of an extendo magazine is going to help you get that pinky power, right? So without that pinky, if I had a flush plate on this 43, I would need to apply more force here to keep that gun from rocking about. Or a boot if you were from Canada. Let's try a Hellcat. So same thing, high, tight, gun is in the center line of that web, contact, roll. Now you got to be careful with some of these guns, man. It is pretty easy to engage the magazine well with the improper grip. I see a lot of guys go out because they have a hard time engaging that. They put an oversized mag release on, not realizing that it's easy to do that with their grip. Tango Down makes an excellent one. Larry Vickers designed for the Glock series. That has a slight curvature that makes that less prone. Something else that you can do to aid you in this, Have somebody like Ben from Boresight Solutions do an excellent stipple job. Stipple is not just creating an aggressive texture, it's creating the right texture for your skin type. Gonna blow your mind here. Just because you make the most aggressive stipple doesn't mean it's the best. One, you're gonna tear your shirt up, scratch your tummy up. But in addition to that, depending on the consistency of your skin, what's actually happening is your flesh should be pressing in to the voids that are created in the polymer. As such, you want to find one that works best for you. So if you say come to S12 or you see Ben on the range, he'll usually have various stipple types that you can try. So when somebody's like, this is the way I do it, that might not be the best for you. So like a standard texture from SIG over Ben's, and I don't remember which one this is, but if you ask him, he'll tell you it's the one I prefer. Shooting these little guns, last point of interest, and I could talk about this a lot, but I want to just kind of clarify. You're not probably going to get the same results that you do out of a full-size gun. It doesn't mean the gun's not capable of it, but I tell you what, if I attend a 2 or 3 day class or I'm running these hards, my hands are trashed because I have to apply even more force to these little guns to get a similar result as I would with, say, something like a Glock 19 or a 17 size gun. It's less to hold on to. I've got to really hang on to it, and guess what? Same 9mm round flipping around in my hand. Less mass to absorb that energy, right? So these can be very flippy little machines. So when you purchase a little gun like this, and this is kind of going into a different realm than just how to grip them, understand that there is a trade-off for concealability, besides the obvious trade-off of round count, which is why like this gun is so perfect. That big 15-round magazine, you're in business, man. But besides the trade-off of round count, it's now you have less real estate on the gun to interface with to form and create that master grip. Closing thoughts. Don't just go dump bunches of ammo. Think about, as you are creating these bits of information that you're ingraining into your brain, what's the goal? The goal is I want a repeatable interface to the gun so that if I have to lay some rounds down in front of me for righteous reasons or for sport, I will have the most dominant control over the gun as possible. I'm going to take up as much space as possible around that gun. And in doing so, and while applying good pressure, and look at the grip frame flexing, while applying good pressure, I can take my focus and thoughts into what's the sight picture look like, pressure, 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 and get good hits. Don't take it lightly what gun you carry. If you shoot a full-size gun and toss one of these on you when you leave the range, you had better be putting lots of time in with them. It's no joke to have lots of time with another gun and then pull one of these out and people say, I just don't shoot it the same, because you don't practice. High, tight, repeatable. Mr. Bianchi said one gun, one holster all the time for a reason. Mickey with CarryTrainer.com. Drew behind the editing desk. Be well, don't be dickheads. Train like your life depends on it or somebody else's, because it very well may be. Bye now.